A couple days ago, the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell made it official, the official hiring of the new head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, the 10th in the team's history. But I think as we kind of get moving into the offseason here, whether it, whatever it is, free agency, the draft, the Vikings have a lot of questions to answer. Is Kirk Cousins going to be the starting quarterback for the foreseeable future? Obviously he's got something like a $35 million base salary, a $45 million cap hit in 2022 here, so a little bit wild there. Are you going to trade Dalvin Cook? I think that's a big question you have to answer as well. I mean, I think CBS Sports that we referenced a couple days ago came out with an article about how the top paid running backs in the league don't win championships. And then, other big questions like, does a bear poop in the woods? Well, okay, maybe they can't answer that question, but they've got a lot of other questions to answer. I think moving forward, they really have to take a serious look at what they have in terms of their personnel. They have to take a serious look at, obviously, especially coming away from his press conference. One of the biggest things I took away is I think you're going to see a Vikings team that moves more to a 3-4, which I'm okay with. I think we have seen this team as a 4-3 for a long time now. Ever since, obviously, the Leslie Frazier, Brad Childress days, and it's, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting because you've got some talented players that I think can play a 3-4, despite the fact that they've mainly played a 4-3 for the longest time. But and I think there are certain players, Vikings players, that actually might be able to, I don't want to say necessarily revive their careers, but I think maybe they could be in a better spot in a 3-4. Guys like Anthony Barr, maybe even Danielle Hunter, who, as a guy that already gets double-digit sacks. But, can you imagine putting Danielle Hunter, standing him up on the edge? I would love it. We saw it in his early days of his career, and it was just, it was beautiful. But again, this is a pivotal offseason for the Vikings because they have so many questions to answer. But I gotta say, there is a lot of excitement surrounding this franchise right now. Like obviously, I know that there is questions whether Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, blah blah blah. What are they gonna do? But this is exciting because this is the change that Vikings fans like myself wanted. We wanted to see what this team would do to shake things up. We saw it with Mike Zimmer, how consistency can be the enemy of great sometimes. Like, yes, you might be able to have an outside shot at making the playoffs or just barely make the playoffs, but at the end of the day, there comes a time when you do need to have a little bit of mix-up. You do need to have something that catches the other teams off guard. You also need to have, I think, what I would consider some game-changing and organized changing, change. Because we saw it, especially with the Mike Zimmer regime, that this just wasn't it. Like, the players, at a certain point, they got tired of it. They didn't want to play for Mike Zimmer. I get that. But I think they're going to want to play for Kevin O'Connell. Obviously, winning a Super Bowl, it gives them a little bit of a pedigree, but also as a player, I think players are going to want to play for him. And Kwesi, especially, I think with how he leads by example, the way that he I think is going to lead the organization in terms of everybody has input. He's going to take everybody's opinion into consideration. I think that's what leadership is all about. And I think, obviously, when it starts there and it goes all the way down to the bottom, I think that's what the best and how the best organizations are built. So, do the Vikings have a lot of questions this offseason? Yeah, but I also think at the end of the day, I would much rather have it this way than another year of Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman not knowing what's going to go on in terms of, okay, are we actually going to see something in terms of change this year? Are they actually going to take into consideration maybe some halftime adjustments? Are we going to see some of these rookies actually play? And I think you're actually going to see with the Vikings, I think you're going to see more of a premium on quality over obviously some of the other big free agent signings, which I think is going to be huge because I think especially with what you saw with Kwesi and the Browns, they drafted well, they brought in key free agents at key times, and then also you saw with the Rams and Kevin O'Connell, yes, they brought in they signed a couple of big names, but at the end of the day, they were able to get the most out of those big names. Like, nobody knows, like everybody, we have seen teams that have tried to assemble these amazing teams, these amazing super teams in the NFL, and it just doesn't work out. But the Rams were able to do that. And I think a big question, and I think a big reason, as to why they were able to do that is because of coaching. Obviously, Sean McVay is a good coach, but I think Kevin O'Connell had a big had a big push in that. I think he was a big reason as to why they were able to make and ultimately win a Super Bowl with all that star power. And I'm excited. I don't necessarily think that's going to be what happens with the Vikings, but I think that there's actually talent on this roster right now that's ready to win. And I think that's, you've got the right people in place to do it. Now it's about going out and doing it. But this is, don't get me wrong, this is a pivotal offseason for the Minnesota Vikings that will have ramifications for now and into the future. But let us know what you guys think, and make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome, and we love every single one of you. In the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, give us a listen and sub on iTunes. We would love that as well. But if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about this being a pivotal offseason for the Minnesota Vikings.